I adjusted my camera lens, capturing the sharp angles of the new Meridian Tower against Boston's evening skyline. The building inauguration was in full swing below me, corporate executives mingling with champagne glasses that probably cost more than my monthly rent. I'd been hired to photograph the event for the architectural firm's portfolio, a decent-paying gig that would keep my lights on for another month. Through my viewfinder, I scanned the crowd of suits and evening gowns, looking for interesting compositions. That's when I saw him. My breath caught so abruptly I nearly dropped my camera. Gabriel. 6 years. 6 years since New York. Since that photography festival where I'd met a man who'd consumed every rational thought in my head for one perfect night. He'd told me his name was Michael Rossi. We'd talked about art and ambition until 3 a.m, then stumbled back to my hotel room where he'd made me forget my own name. When I woke up, he was gone. No note, no number. Nothing but rumpled sheets and the fading scent of his cologne. 3 weeks later, I'd stared at 2 pink lines on a pregnancy test, hands shaking so badly I could barely hold it. But there he stood, impossibly real, talking with a group of investors near the building's entrance. Same dark hair, same commanding presence that made everyone around him seem smaller somehow. He wore a charcoal suit that fit him like it had been sewn directly onto his body, probably because it had been. The scar through his left eyebrow was new. So was the hardness in his expression. I lowered my camera, my heart hammering against my ribs. Maybe he wouldn't notice me. The venue was packed. I was just another hired photographer, invisible in black pants and a simple blouse. His head turned. Our eyes met across 50 feet of expensive marble flooring. Recognition flashed across his face, followed immediately by something I couldn't identify. Surprise? Calculation? His jaw tightened, and he said something to the man beside him, never breaking eye contact with me. I spun away, focusing my lens on a sculpture near the entrance like it was the most fascinating thing I'd ever seen. My hands were trembling. This was bad. This was so incredibly bad. I hadn't been able to find him 6 years ago. I'd tried everything. The phone number he'd given me was disconnected. Michael Rossi didn't exist in any database I could access. I'd eventually accepted that he'd lied about everything, that I'd been stupid and naive and would raise my daughter alone. And now he was here, walking toward me with purposeful strides that parted the crowd like water. "Excuse me." His voice was exactly as I remembered, low and smooth with an edge that suggested danger. "We need to talk." "I'm working." I lifted my camera, snapping random shots of nothing. Claire Thompson. He said my name like he'd known it all along, which meant he'd probably known it 6 years ago too. "Put the camera down." I did, but only because my fingers were shaking too badly to hold it steady. "It's been 6 years. I don't think we have anything to discuss." "I think we do." He moved closer, invading my space deliberately. Up close, I could see the faint lines around his eyes, the barely concealed tension in his shoulders. He looked older, harder, like the years had carved away anything soft. "You ran away from me at the festival. I wanted to find you. You left before I woke up. I had business to handle. I came back an hour later and you were gone. Hotel room cleared out. That stopped me. I'd left at dawn, unable to bear waking up alone with the shame of being abandoned. You came back?" "Of course I did." His eyes, dark brown and intense, searched my face. "I've thought about you. Often." The admission sent heat through my chest that I absolutely could not afford to feel. "Well, congratulations on your real estate ventures or whatever this is. I need to get back to work." I tried to move past him. His hand shot out, not grabbing me but blocking my path. "Why did you say we have nothing to discuss?" "Because we don't. The way you're looking at me says otherwise." He leaned in slightly, and I caught that same cologne, woodsy and expensive. "What happened after New York, Claire?" My daughter's face flashed through my mind. Those eyes, exactly the same shade as his, staring up at me this morning as I'd dropped her off at kindergarten. I'd promised Lily I'd be home by 7 to help her practice reading. "I have a daughter." The words came out flat, defensive. "She's 5 years old. Now move." I shoved past him before he could respond, before I could see whatever expression crossed his face. My legs carried me toward the exit on autopilot, my camera bag banging against my hip. I'd gotten enough shots. They'd have to be good enough. Behind me, I heard him bark something at someone, the word now carrying absolute authority. But I was already out the door, gulp of October air hitting my face like a slap. I made it to my car, a 10-year-old Toyota that coughed before starting, and pulled out of the parking garage with my hands still shaking on the wheel. That night, I couldn't eat. Lily chatted about her day at school, showing me the drawing she'd made of our apartment building, and I smiled and praised her while my mind spun in circles. He was in Boston. Gabriel, or Michael, or whoever he really was. Those investors had deferred to him like he owned the building. Maybe he did. After I tucked Lily into bed, I sat on my threadbare couch and pulled up the event information on my phone. Meridian Tower. Primary investor, Brunarelli Holdings. I typed the name into a search engine and immediately wished I hadn't. Gabriel Brunarelli, 34 years old, CEO of Brunarelli Holdings, which owned half the commercial real estate in Boston's waterfront district. His official biography was sparse, professional, revealing nothing personal, but the images told a different story. There he was, at charity galas, always alone or with business associates, never smiling. There he was cutting ribbons at building openings, shaking hands with the mayor. And there, buried in a 3-year-old local news article about organized crime investigations, was a single line that made my blood turn cold. Gabriel Brunarelli, alleged head of the Brunarelli crime family, declined to comment. My phone buzzed in my hand. Unknown number. Hello. I need to see you again. His voice, unmistakable. How did you get this number? That's not important. We need to finish our conversation. No, we really don't. I stood up, pacing my tiny living room. I told you what you needed to know. I have a daughter. That's it. That's the end of the conversation. Claire, something in his tone made me stop moving. I'm very good at math. If your daughter is 5 years old, and we met 6 years ago, that means... I hung up. My entire body was shaking now. Lily's bedroom door was closed, her nightlight casting a soft glow underneath. She was safe, asleep, completely unaware that her father had just done the math. The phone rang again. I turned it off, but I knew, standing there in my apartment with its peeling paint and secondhand furniture, that turning off my phone wouldn't make Gabriel Brunarelli go away. Men like him didn't just go away. They got what they wanted, and now he wanted answers about a daughter he didn't know he had. 2 days of silence. 2 days where I jumped at every unexpected sound, checked the peephole before opening my apartment door, and walked Lily to school, scanning every parked car on the street. Nothing. Maybe Gabriel had decided to leave it alone. Maybe alleged crime bosses had better things to do than chase down one-night stands from 6 years ago. I should have known better. Tuesday afternoon, I was editing photos on my laptop when someone knocked on my door. Not a normal knock. 3 sharp raps that carried authority. Through the peephole, I saw him. Gabriel Brunarelli, standing in my hallway like he belonged there, wearing another immaculate suit. Behind him stood a man built like a tank, expression professionally blank. "I'm not opening this door," I called through it. "Then I'll keep knocking. Your neighbors will start asking questions." His voice was calm, matter of fact. "We both know you don't want that." My hand hovered over the deadbolt. He was right, and he knew it. Mrs. Chen across the hall was already suspicious of every visitor I had. I clicked the lock and opened the door 6 inches. The chain still engaged. "What do you want?" He held up a manila folder thick with papers. "To talk, that's all." "How did you find where I live? Does it matter?" Something flickered in his eyes that might have been regret. "I need to see her, Claire. I need to see my daughter. You don't know that she's yours, don't I?" He shifted his weight, and I caught sight of the other man adjusting his jacket in a way that suggested a weapon underneath. "Let me in, please." That last word, softened with something almost vulnerable, made me slide the chain free. I opened the door but blocked the entrance with my body. "Just you, not him." Gabriel glanced at his companion. "Wait in the car, Paolo." The man hesitated, jaw tightening, but nodded and headed toward the stairwell. Gabriel stepped inside my apartment, and suddenly, my small living space felt microscopic. He dominated it without trying, his presence making my secondhand furniture look even shabbier. I crossed my arms. "You've got 5 minutes." He set the folder on my coffee table, then straightened and looked at me directly. "I had you investigated. I'm not apologizing for it. I needed to know." Fury blazed through me. "You had no right." "I had every right." His voice hardened. "Claire Thompson, 29 years old, freelance photographer, specializing in architectural work. You live alone with your daughter Lily, age 5, who attends Riverside Elementary. You moved to Boston 4 years ago from Providence. Your sister Camilla is an attorney at Morrison & Associates. Should I continue? Get out. You tried to find me." He tapped the folder. "Text messages sent to a disconnected number. Searches for Michael Rossi in New York databases. You kept trying for 3 months after the festival. That stopped my anger cold. You read my messages? Every single one." His expression softened fractionally. "You told me you were pregnant. You asked me to call. You said you weren't asking for anything except a conversation." My throat tightened. Those desperate messages, sent to nowhere, screaming into a void. The name you gave me was fake. It was necessary at the time. I was handling business that required anonymity. He moved closer, and I forced myself not to retreat. If I had known Claire, if I had received even one of those messages, I would have been there. But you didn't know. And I raised her alone. So you can take your investigation and leave. I want to see her. Not a request. A statement of intent. Absolutely not. I'm her father. You're a stranger who spent one night with me 6 years ago using a fake name. My hands clenched into fists. You think I'm going to let some man I barely know anywhere near my daughter? Especially after finding out you're allegedly running a crime family? His jaw tightened. That article was conjecture. I've never been charged with anything. That's not a denial. No, he agreed quietly. It's not. At least he was honest. I grabbed the folder and opened it, needing something to do with my hands. Inside were printouts of my bank statements, Lily's school records, medical history, photographs of her that must have been taken from my social media accounts. My stomach churned. He'd invaded every aspect of our lives. Then I saw the medical documents clipped together at the back. DNA testing information, collection procedures, chain of custody protocols, laboratory specifications. What is this? A paternity test. He pulled a small kit from his jacket pocket. Simple cheek swab. Results in 24 hours. Then we'll both know for certain. I already know for certain. Then you have nothing to fear from proof. He set the kit on the table beside the folder. I'm not trying to take her from you. I'm asking for the truth. Before I could respond, I heard the apartment door open. My sister's voice carried from the entrance. Claire, I picked up Lily from school like you asked. Traffic was terrible. My heart stopped. Gabriel's head snapped toward the sound, his entire body going rigid. Lily bounded into the living room, backpack bouncing, her dark curls escaping from their ponytail. Mommy, we made clay animals today and I made a horse, and Miss Sarah said it was really good and... She skidded to a halt, seeing Gabriel. Those eyes, deep brown and bright with intelligence, locked onto him with undisguised curiosity. Camilla appeared behind her, one hand on Lily's shoulder. My sister took one look at Gabriel, and I watched her lawyer instincts activate. Who are you? But Gabriel wasn't looking at Camilla. He was staring at Lily with an expression I'd never seen on anyone's face. Pure, undiluted shock mixed with something that looked almost like pain. His hand moved unconsciously to his chest, pressing against his sternum like he couldn't breathe. Lily tilted her head, studying him. Are you one of Mommy's photography friends? His voice came out rough, unsteady. He cleared his throat. Yes, I'm a friend of your mother's. I'm Lily. She stuck out her hand with the confidence only a 5-year-old could possess. I'm 5 3/4. Gabriel crouched down slowly, bringing himself to her eye level. He took her small hand in his much larger one, and I saw his fingers tremble slightly. It's nice to meet you, Lily. You're very polite. Thank you. She beamed at him. Mommy says manners are important. The resemblance was devastating up close. Same eye shape, same small dimple in the chin when she smiled. Same way of tilting her head when she was thinking. Even Camilla saw it, her sharp intake of breath audible. "Lily, honey, go wash your hands for snack time," I managed, my voice sounding strange to my own ears. "Okay." She released Gabriel's hand and skipped toward the bathroom, completely unaware of the earthquake happening in my living room. Gabriel stood slowly, his movements mechanical. When he looked at me, his eyes were suspiciously bright. "How could you keep her from me?" "You weren't there to keep her from," I shot back, but the words lacked heat. "You disappeared. I came back. You were gone." His voice cracked slightly. "Claire, she has my eyes. My mother's chin. The way she stands. That's exactly how my sister stood at that age." Camilla stepped forward, positioning herself between us. "I don't know who you are, but I think you should leave. Now." "Camilla, wait." I grabbed my sister's arm. "This is Gabriel Brunarelli. He's Lily's father." My sister's eyes widened fractionally, years of courtroom control keeping her expression neutral. "I see. Does he have proof of that? We're doing a DNA test." Gabriel's voice had regained its steadiness, his control snapping back into place like armor. "With Claire's permission. And if you are her father?" Camilla's lawyer voice was in full effect now. "What exactly are you planning? To be part of her life?" He looked directly at me. "Whatever that takes." Lily emerged from the bathroom, hands still dripping water. "Can Mr. Friend stay for snack? We have apple slices and peanut butter." The absurdity of it almost made me laugh. Here stood Gabriel Brunarelli, alleged crime boss, being offered apple slices by his daughter, who had no idea who he was. "Mr. Friend has to leave," I said gently. "But maybe he'll visit again soon." Gabriel's expression made it clear that maybe wasn't going to be acceptable, but he nodded, reaching into his pocket to pull out a business card. "Call me when you're ready to do the test. The number on this card will actually reach me." I took it, our fingers brushing. That same electric shock from 6 years ago. And if the test confirms what we both already know, then we figure out what comes next. He looked past me to where Lily was climbing onto a kitchen chair. Together. After he left, Camilla made Lily snack while I stood in the living room staring at the DNA kit on my coffee table. 24 hours to confirm what my daughter's face already screamed. 24 hours before my carefully constructed life shattered completely. "You're really going to do it?" Camilla asked quietly. I picked up the kit, feeling its weight in my palm. "I don't have a choice. He knows where we live. He's not going away." My sister sighed. "Then you better get a lawyer, because something tells me Gabriel Brunarelli doesn't do anything halfway." She was right. I called his number that night after Lily fell asleep. He answered on the first ring like he'd been waiting. We scheduled the test for the next morning at a private medical facility he'd arranged. The results came back in 18 hours. 99.9% probability of paternity. Lily Thompson had a father, and I had no idea what happened next. The first 2 weeks of supervised visits felt like walking a tightrope blindfolded. Gabriel arrived every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at exactly 6 o'clock. Never early, never late. Camilla insisted on being present for the first week, sitting on my worn couch with her lawyer face on, watching every interaction like a hawk. Lily took to him instantly, which somehow made everything worse. She'd show him her drawings, her toy horses, the chapter book she was learning to read. Gabriel would sit cross-legged on my living room floor in his $1,000 suits, listening to her rambling stories with an attention that felt almost desperate. "Why does Mr. Gabriel always wear fancy clothes?" Lily asked me one night after he'd left. "That's just how he dresses for work, honey." "What's his job?" I'd paused, choosing my words carefully. "He helps people with their buildings, makes sure they're safe and nice." Not technically a lie, just spectacularly incomplete. By the end of the second week, I'd relaxed enough to let Camilla sit in the kitchen instead of hovering in the living room. My sister used the time to catch up on case files, while I pretended to edit photographs on my laptop. Really, I was watching them, watching how Gabriel's entire demeanor transformed around Lily. The hard edges smoothed. His shoulders lost their tension. When she laughed, something in his eyes softened in a way that made my chest ache. "He's good with her," Camilla observed quietly one evening after he'd left. "I know. That terrifies you." I closed my laptop. "Shouldn't it? I still don't know who he really is, what he really does." but you're going to find out whether you want to or not." My sister's voice carried the weight of experience. Men like him don't compartmentalize well. Eventually, his world will touch yours. She was right. I just didn't know how soon. Wednesday of the 3rd week, I picked Lily up from school and immediately noticed the black sedan 2 cars behind us. Same one I'd seen that morning on my way to drop her off. Same one parked across from our apartment building when I'd left for a coffee run yesterday. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. Maybe I was being paranoid. Boston had plenty of black sedans. But something about the way it maintained exactly the same distance, the way it turned when I turned, made my skin crawl. At a red light, I grabbed my camera from the passenger seat and adjusted the side mirror. Through my telephoto lens, I captured the license plate clearly, along with a shot of the driver, a thick-necked man with Slavic features wearing sunglasses despite the overcast weather. "Mommy, why are you taking pictures of cars?" Lily asked from her booster seat. "Just practicing, sweetheart." The sedan followed us all the way to our building, finally driving past as I parallel parked. But I saw it circle the block in my rearview mirror. Inside the apartment, I downloaded the photos to my laptop immediately, my pulse hammering. Should I call the police? And tell them what, exactly? That a car was driving on the same roads as me? I had no proof of anything except my own paranoia. Gabriel was due in 2 hours. I spent that time trying to calm down, making Lily's dinner, helping her with the simple homework her teacher had assigned. But I kept checking the window, scanning the street below. When his knock came at 6 o'clock precisely, I jerked like I'd been shocked. Lily ran to open the door before I could stop her. "Mr. Gabriel, guess what? I got a gold star on my spelling test." "That's wonderful." He stepped inside, and his eyes went immediately to my face. Whatever he saw there made him stiffen. "Lily, could you show me your test? I want to see all the words you spelled correctly." "Okay." She bounded toward her backpack. Gabriel crossed to me in 3 strides, his voice dropping low. "What happened?" "I don't know if anything happened. Maybe I'm just being paranoid. Tell me." Something about the command in his voice, the intensity in those dark eyes, made me pull up the photos on my laptop. This car followed us from Lily's school to here. I've seen it before. Yesterday, this morning. Maybe longer, and I just didn't notice. He leaned over my shoulder, studying the images. His entire body went rigid. When he straightened, his expression had gone cold in a way that raised every hair on my arms. "That's not paranoia." He pulled out his phone, typed something rapidly. "That's surveillance." "Surveillance? By who?" "I need to make a call. Can you keep Lily occupied?" "Gabriel, you're scaring me." He cupped my face with one hand, the gesture surprisingly gentle. "I'm going to handle this. But I need you to trust me right now." Before I could respond, he stepped into my tiny kitchen and made a call. His voice too low to hear clearly. I caught fragments. "Bratva. Confirmed. My daughter." "No." Immediately. "My daughter." Hearing him say it sent chills down my spine. Lily showed me her spelling test, chattering about how hard because was to remember, while Gabriel paced my kitchen with his phone pressed to his ear. When he finally returned, his expression was carefully neutral, but I could see the tension in his jaw. "We need to talk, after Lily goes to bed. Tell me now." "Not in front of her." His tone left no room for argument. The next 2 hours were torture. Gabriel played with Lily like nothing was wrong, reading her favorite book about horses, letting her teach him a clapping game she'd learned at school. But I felt the undercurrent of danger thrumming through the apartment like a live wire. Finally, Lily was tucked into bed, nightlight glowing. I closed her door and turned to find Gabriel standing in my living room, hands in his pockets, looking more serious than I'd ever seen him. "Talk." "The car belongs to the Solntsevskaya Bratva, Russian organized crime." He said it matter-of-factly, like he was discussing the weather. "They've been testing my territory for the past few months. I've been monitoring their movements, trying to determine their endgame. Your territory." My voice came out flat. "So the allegations are true. You run a crime family." "Yes." At least he didn't insult me by denying it. "And these Russians know about Lily." "As of recently, yes. I've kept my personal life extremely private, but clearly not private enough." his hands clenched into fists. They're sending a message, showing me they can reach what matters to me. She's 5 years old. I know. The words came out harsh. Believe me, I know. Which is why you both need to move to my property immediately. I have a secure residence in Brookline with armed guards, surveillance systems, everything needed to keep you safe. Absolutely not. I shook my head violently. I'm not putting my daughter in some fortress surrounded by criminals. You'll be surrounded by protection. There's a difference. Is there? I grabbed my camera, shoving it toward him with the photo still displayed. These people followed my daughter from school, Gabriel. They know where she goes, where we live, probably where I buy groceries. And that's because of you. He flinched like I'd struck him. You think I don't know that? You think I'm not sick over it? Then leave us alone. Walk away. Let us go back to being invisible. It's too late for that. His voice carried absolute certainty. They know she exists. They know she's mine. Walking away won't make them forget that. It'll just leave you unprotected. We've been unprotected for 5 years. We've been fine. You've been unknown for 5 years. That's not the same thing. He moved closer, his presence overwhelming in my small space. Claire, please. I'm asking you to trust me. Move to the property temporarily, just until I can neutralize the threat. Neutralize the threat. I laughed without humor. You mean kill people? I mean handle it. He didn't deny the implication. However necessary. And you wonder why I don't want Lily in your world. She's already in my world. The moment those Russians took that photograph of her getting in your car, she became part of this whether you like it or not. His jaw tightened. I can't change that. But I can keep her safe. Please let me keep her safe. I wanted to scream at him, to throw him out, to pack up Lily and run somewhere they'd never find us. But Camilla's voice echoed in my head. Men like him don't compartmentalize well. Eventually, his world will touch yours. It already had. I need to think about it. You have until tomorrow morning. Not a threat, just a statement. After that, I'm assigning security to follow you whether you agree to the move or not. You can't just... Yes, I can. His eyes held mine. I just found out I have a daughter 3 weeks ago. I'm not losing her because you're too stubborn to accept help. He left before I could respond, the door clicking shut with quiet finality. I stood in my empty living room, staring at the photographs on my laptop screen. That sedan, those tinted windows, the man with dead eyes behind sunglasses. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Ms. Thompson. A voice with a thick accent. You have a beautiful daughter. Such pretty dark curls. My blood turned to ice. Who is this? A concerned citizen. Such dangerous times, yes? So many terrible things can happen to little girls. The line went dead. I barely made it to the bathroom before I threw up, hands shaking so violently I could barely grip the edge of the sink. When I could breathe again, I called Gabriel. He answered immediately. What's wrong? Someone just called me. About Lily. They knew what she looked like. I couldn't finish the sentence. I'm on my way. Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone but me. He was there in 12 minutes. I didn't ask how he'd driven across the city that fast. We're moving to your property, I said before he'd fully stepped inside. Tomorrow. First thing. He exhaled slowly, some of the tension leaving his shoulders. You made the right choice. Did I? I wrapped my arms around myself. Or did I just agree to lock my daughter in a golden cage? You agreed to keep her alive. He pulled out his phone. I'll have everything arranged by morning. Pack what you need. Everything else can be replaced. After he left to make preparations, I stood in Lily's doorway watching her sleep. She looked so peaceful, one arm thrown over her stuffed horse, completely unaware that our lives had just changed forever. I'd spent 5 years protecting her from the world. Now I had to trust a man I barely knew to do the same. God help us both. I didn't sleep. How could I? Every creak in the building, every car door slamming outside, every footstep in the hallway sent my heart into my throat. I sat on Lily's floor with my back against her bed, watching shadows move across the ceiling, my phone clutched in one hand. Camilla arrived at 6 in the morning looking like she'd slept about as well as I had. I'd called her after the threat, and she'd immediately shifted into crisis mode. "You're really doing this?" She set 2 coffees on my kitchen counter, eyeing the packed duffel bags by the door. "I don't have a choice." I wrapped my hands around the cup, needing the warmth. "They called me Camilla. They described her." My sister's jaw tightened. "I know, and I hate that I'm about to say this, but Gabriel's right. Moving to a secure location is the smart play here. Since when do you defend him?" "Since someone threatened my niece." She took a long drink of coffee. "Look, I don't like the man's profession any more than you do. But I've seen enough criminal cases to know how these organizations operate. The Bratva doesn't make empty threats, Claire. If they're showing interest in Lily, you need serious protection. So I'm just supposed to accept that my daughter's life now requires armed guards? You're supposed to accept reality." Camilla's voice softened. "I'm a lawyer, not a bodyguard. Gabriel has the resources to keep you both safe. Use them." Lily woke up confused about why we were packing, why Mr. Gabriel was taking us on a special trip to his big house. I'd practiced the explanation all night, keeping it simple, age-appropriate. We were going to stay somewhere fun for a little while. She'd have her own room, a huge yard to play in, and Daddy would be there. That last word had slipped out without permission, but Lily's face had lit up so brightly that I couldn't take it back. Gabriel arrived at 7:30 in a black SUV with tinted windows. Paolo drove. Another man I didn't recognize sat in the passenger seat. Both had the same alert, dangerous quality that made my stomach churn. "Ready?" Gabriel took my bags before I could protest, loading them into the back. "No, but we're going anyway." The drive to Brookline took 30 minutes through Boston's morning traffic. Lily pressed her face against the window, excited by the novelty. I sat rigid in my seat, watching Paolo's eyes constantly scan mirrors, the way the other man kept one hand near his jacket. "Mommy, look at all the big houses," Lily pointed as we entered a neighborhood where every property had gates and manicured lawns. The Brunarelli estate made those houses look quaint. Stone walls topped with sophisticated cameras surrounded the property. The gate rolled open smoothly as we approached, operated by someone I couldn't see. The driveway curved through landscaped grounds that probably cost more to maintain than my annual income. The house itself was modern, all glass and clean lines, somehow managing to look welcoming despite its size. Paolo parked near the entrance where 2 more men in dark suits stood watching our arrival. "Security team," Gabriel explained quietly. "They'll be positioned around the perimeter. You won't see them unless there's a problem." That's supposed to be reassuring. It's supposed to be reality. Inside, the house was even more overwhelming. Marble floors, contemporary art on walls that stretched up 2 stories, furniture that looked like it belonged in a design magazine. Lily's eyes went wide as planets. "Is this a museum?" she whispered. "It's a house." Gabriel crouched to her level. "Your house, for as long as you're here. Want to see your room?" He led us upstairs to a bedroom that was bigger than our entire apartment. Someone had already prepared it for a child with a bed shaped like a castle, shelves of books, and a window overlooking gardens that seemed to go on forever. "This is all for me?" Lily breathed. "All for you." Gabriel glanced at me. "Your mother's room is connected through that door. You'll share a bathroom, but you each have privacy." My room was equally excessive, decorated in soft grays and whites, with a king-sized bed and sitting area. Through the connecting door, I could see Lily already exploring her space, touching everything with reverent fingers. "I need to make some calls," Gabriel said. "Paolo will show you around when you're ready. Help yourselves to anything in the kitchen." He left before I could respond, pulling out his phone as he descended the stairs. I stood in my borrowed bedroom feeling untethered, watching Lily discover a closet already stocked with clothes in her size. "How did he know what size she wears?" I asked Paolo when he appeared to give us the tour. The big man shrugged. "Boss is thorough." "Thorough. Right. Not invasive or controlling. Thorough." The tour revealed a house designed for both luxury and security. Panic room in the basement, reinforced windows, cameras covering every angle of the property. The kitchen was restaurant quality. The library held thousands of books, and there was a separate wing for staff I hadn't even realized existed. "Mr. Brunarelli works from the East Office most days," Paulo explained. You have access to the entire main house and grounds. Just stay inside the wall perimeter. What happens if we go outside the perimeter? Security gets nervous. By evening, Lily had adapted to her new environment with the resilience of childhood. She'd explored the gardens, played in her castle bed, and convinced Gabriel to read her 3 stories before dinner. I'd spent the day fighting the urge to pace like a caged animal, taking photographs of the property through various windows, anything to feel productive. Dinner was served in a dining room that could seat 20 but felt intimate with just the 3 of us at one end. Some invisible staff member had prepared chicken and vegetables that Lily actually ate without complaint. Can we eat here every night? She asked Gabriel. As long as you're here, yes. How long is that? I interjected. His eyes met mine over Lily's head. We'll discuss it later. Later came after Lily's bedtime, which Gabriel insisted on participating in despite my protests. He read another story, tucked her in with surprising gentleness, and waited until she was asleep before following me to the sitting area between our rooms. We need to establish ground rules, I said before he could speak. Agreed. He settled into a chair that probably cost more than my car. You first. This is temporary. As soon as the threat is handled, we go back to our normal life. Define handled. However you handle it. I don't want details. I wrapped my arms around myself. Second, I maintain independence. I'm not your prisoner. I need to work, need to have my own income. I have several properties that need architectural photography. I'll hire you. I don't want your charity. It's not charity. It's paying for professional services. He leaned forward. You're talented, Claire. I've seen your portfolio. Use that talent. The compliment caught me off guard. Fine. Third rule, Lily doesn't find out about your business. Ever. As far as she's concerned, you're just her father who happens to be wealthy. Agreed. Though she'll figure it out eventually. Not while she's 5. Fair enough. He stood, moving to the window overlooking the dark gardens. My turn. First, you follow security protocols without argument. If Paulo or any of my men tell you to do something, you do it immediately. I'm not taking orders from... You are, if it keeps Lily alive. His voice hardened. This isn't negotiable. Second, you keep me informed of everything. Any strange calls, anyone following you, anything that feels wrong. I need to know. I nodded reluctantly. What else? Let me be her father. He turned to face me. I know I have no right to ask for anything. I wasn't there for her birth. Her first word. Her first step. But I'm here now. Let me be here. Something in his voice made my throat tighten. I'm not trying to keep you from her. Aren't you? He moved closer. Every time she calls me Mr. Gabriel instead of Dad, I see you flinch. Every time she asks if I'm coming back, you hedge. You're terrified of her getting attached. She's already attached. So are you. I met his eyes. That's what scares me. What happens when this is over and she has to choose between her normal life and your world? Maybe she won't have to choose. Maybe there's a middle ground. In your life? I doubt that. Then we'll figure it out. He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. The gesture was too intimate, too familiar. Together. I stepped back, needing distance. I'm going to check on Lily. Claire. His voice stopped me at the door. Thank you for trusting me with this. I know what it cost you. I couldn't respond. If I opened my mouth, I'd either cry or scream. And I didn't have the energy for either. That night, I lay in the enormous bed staring at the ceiling, listening to Lily's soft breathing through the connecting door. Somewhere in the house, Gabriel was probably working, making calls, planning whatever he planned to neutralize people who'd threatened my daughter. My phone buzzed. A text from Camilla. How's the fortress? I typed back. Terrifying and beautiful. Kind of like him. Her response came immediately. Be careful. Men like that are addictive. Too late, I thought, but didn't type. I was already addicted. To the safety he provided. To the way Lily smiled when he was around. To those rare moments when his guard dropped, and I saw the man underneath the armor. Outside my window, a shadow moved past. Security patrol. My new normal. I closed my eyes and prayed I'd made the right choice. 3 weeks in Gabriel's house and I was losing my mind. Not from danger or fear, but but from the suffocating comfort of it all. Lily had adapted completely, treating the estate like her personal kingdom. She spent mornings in the garden chasing butterflies, afternoons reading in the library, evenings curled up with Gabriel learning words in Italian that I pretended not to understand. I was the problem. I'd wake up in sheets that cost more than my monthly rent, eat breakfast prepared by invisible staff, and feel my independence slipping away like sand through fingers. "You're restless," Gabriel observed one morning as I paced the kitchen for the third time while Lily ate pancakes. "I need to work. Real work. Not just sitting around being protected. I told you I'd hire you for photography projects. You said that 3 weeks ago. I haven't seen a single assignment." I leaned against the marble counter. "I'm going stir-crazy, Gabriel. I need to feel useful." He studied me with those dark eyes that saw too much. "I have something. But you'll need security. Obviously. I seem to need security for everything now." If he caught the bitterness in my voice, he didn't acknowledge it. "There's a hotel under renovation downtown. Luxury property, historic building. I need architectural shots for the marketing materials before the grand opening next month. Finally." "When?" "This afternoon if you're ready. I'll drive you myself." The hotel was in Boston's Back Bay, a Gilded Age building being restored to its former glory. Paolo followed in a separate car, maintaining distance but never out of sight. Gabriel led me through the construction site, pointing out details, explaining his vision for the space. "You actually care about this," I said, photographing an ornate ceiling medallion being restored by craftsmen. "Why wouldn't I? I don't know. I guess I thought your legitimate businesses were just fronts." "Some are. This one isn't." He watched me adjust my camera settings. "My grandfather was a stone mason. Built half the churches in Sicily before he came here. I grew up understanding that buildings outlive the people who create them. They matter." It was the most personal thing he'd shared since I'd moved in. I lowered my camera. "Is that why you went into real estate? Family legacy?" "Partly. Also because commercial property can't be easily traced or seized. It's stable in ways other enterprises aren't." He caught himself. "Sorry. You said you didn't want details about the business." "That's not detail about crime. That's just good financial planning." His mouth quirked in something almost like a smile. "See? We can talk about my world without you running away." I returned to photographing, but something had shifted. The hotel was stunning. All soaring ceilings and intricate woodwork. Gabriel moved through it like he belonged, occasionally stopping to inspect work, exchange words with the foreman. He was good at this. The legitimate businessman role. I could almost forget the armed guards outside, the reasons we were here. We worked through the afternoon, moving from room to room. Gabriel carried my equipment, held reflectors when I needed them, stayed quiet when I was composing shots. It felt normal, almost like a date. "Getting hungry?" he asked around 5 o'clock. "Starving, actually. There's a restaurant 3 blocks from here. Best carbonara outside of Rome. Is it safe?" His expression darkened slightly. "I own the building. Security is already positioned. But if you'd rather go back..." "No." The word came out too quickly. "No, I'd like that. To eat somewhere that isn't your dining room." The restaurant was intimate. Exposed brick and dim lighting, mostly empty in the early evening. Gabriel had reserved a corner table with clear sightlines to all exits. I noticed but didn't comment. "Lily would love this place," I said, studying the menu. "She's been asking about trying new foods. We could bring her, maybe Sunday dinner. You want to take a 5-year-old to your expensive restaurant?" "I want to take my daughter wherever she wants to go." He set down his menu. "Is that strange?" "No, it's sweet." I paused. "She asked me yesterday when she could call you Dad." "Not Mr. Gabriel. Just Dad." Something flickered across his face, vulnerable and raw. "What did you tell her?" I said whenever she felt ready. I met his eyes. "I won't keep that from her. Whatever else I'm scared of, I won't keep you from being her father. Thank you." His voice had gone rough. "You don't know what that means." Dinner arrived, and we ate mostly in comfortable silence. I caught myself watching him, the way his hands moved, the rare moments when his expression softened. This was dangerous territory. I was supposed to be maintaining emotional distance, protecting myself and Lily from getting too entangled in his complicated world. Instead, I was sitting across from him at a romantic restaurant, feeling more relaxed than I had in months. "Tell me about your photography," he said over wine. "When did you start?" "High school. My mom bought me a cheap digital camera for my birthday. I started taking pictures of buildings because they didn't move or complain." I smiled at the memory. People said I had an eye for it. Architecture programs recruited me for college. "Why didn't you go?" "Got pregnant instead." I said it without bitterness. Community college while working part-time, then freelancing once Lily was old enough for school. Not the glamorous artist life I'd imagined, but it's mine. It's impressive. He leaned back, studying me. Raising a child alone, building a career, staying independent. Most people would have given up. Giving up wasn't an option. Lily needed me. She's lucky to have you as her mother. The compliment settled warm in my chest. You're good with her too. Better than I expected. Expected me to be terrible. Expected you to be distant. Uncomfortable. Men in your position don't usually prioritize family. Men in my position usually don't find out they have a 5-year-old daughter. His expression grew serious. I meant what I said before. I want to be part of her life. Permanently. Define permanently. However you'll let me. Weekends, holidays, summers when she's older. I want her to know me, Claire. Really know me. The legitimate businessman or the crime boss? Both, eventually. He reached across the table, his fingers brushing mine. I know you don't want her exposed to that world. I'll protect her from it as long as possible. But she's a Brunarelli. One day she'll need to understand what that means. I should have pulled my hand away. Should have reinforced the boundaries I'd been trying to maintain. Instead, I let his fingers curl around mine, the contact sending electricity up my arm. I'm scared, I admitted quietly, of her getting hurt, of you getting hurt, of this becoming permanent and then falling apart. What if it doesn't fall apart? Men like you don't do happily ever after, Gabriel. Maybe I want to try. His thumb traced circles on my palm. Maybe having a daughter changes priorities. Or maybe you just feel obligated. Is that what you think? He stood abruptly, pulling me up with him. Come on. Where? Somewhere we can talk without an audience. He led me back to the hotel, up a service elevator to the unfinished penthouse suite. The space was empty, except for drop cloths and construction equipment, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Boston's skyline as the sun set. I've been thinking about that night in New York, he said, standing close enough that I could feel his body heat, wondering if you remembered it the way I did. Gabriel, let me finish. His hand cupped my face, thumb brushing my cheekbone. I've spent 6 years trying to forget you. The way you laughed, the way you saw the world through your camera, the way you looked at me like I was just a man instead of a name with a reputation. I couldn't forget. I tried. My heart hammered against my ribs. That was one night. It was enough to create Lily. Enough to change both our lives. He leaned closer, his breath warm against my lips. Tell me you don't feel this. Tell me I'm alone in wanting more than co-parenting arrangements. I couldn't. God help me, I couldn't lie. This is a terrible idea. Probably. We barely know each other. I know you take your coffee with too much cream. I know you hum when you're editing photographs. I know you'd die to protect Lily, and that you're terrified of needing anyone. His other hand settled on my waist. I know enough. When he kissed me, it felt like falling and flying simultaneously. 6 years melted away and it was New York again. That hotel room where nothing existed except us. But this was different. This wasn't strangers seeking comfort. This was complicated and messy and real. I kissed him back, hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer. His arms wrapped around me, and I felt safe in a way that had nothing to do with armed guards or fortress walls. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, reality crashed back in. This can't happen, I said, even as my body screamed otherwise. Why not? Because I still don't trust you. Not completely. I stepped back, needing distance. You're still the man who left me in a hotel room. Still the crime boss who endangered my daughter just by existing. Still someone whose world I don't understand and don't want to be part of. His jaw tightened. Then what do you want, Claire? I don't know. The admission hurt. Time, maybe. To figure out if this is real or just proximity and adrenaline. I can give you time. He straightened his shirt, control sliding back into place. But I'm not giving up. On you or us. There is no us. Not yet. He moved toward the elevator. But there will be. The drive back to Brookline was silent, tension thick enough to choke on. Paolo pretended not to notice, eyes on the road. I stared out the window, my lips still tingling, my heart racing. I'd just kissed Gabriel Brunarelli. Worse, I'd wanted to keep kissing him. Camilla was right. Men like him were addictive, and I was definitely developing a habit. The days after that kiss were excruciating. Gabriel maintained careful distance, all business and polite co-parenting. We'd exchange good mornings over breakfast, discuss Lily's needs, then retreat to separate corners of the estate. He spent hours in his office, door closed, dealing with whatever a crime boss dealt with. I edited photographs, played with Lily, and tried not to think about how his hands had felt on my waist. It was torture. A week later, Gabriel knocked on my bedroom door while Lily was napping. I need to go to New York. 3 days, maybe 4. Business I can't handle remotely. My stomach dropped. Is it dangerous? No more than usual. He leaned against the doorframe, exhaustion evident in the lines around his eyes. Security here will be tripled. Paolo stays with you. You'll be safe. That's not what I asked. His expression softened. I'll be careful. Why are you telling me this? You could just leave. Because you'd worry. And because I promised to keep you informed. He pushed off the doorframe. I'll be back before Lily notices I'm gone. But she did notice. That first evening without him, she kept asking when Dad was coming home. Not Mr. Gabriel anymore. Just Dad. The word had stuck sometime in the past week. Natural as breathing. He had to go on a work trip, sweetie. He'll be back soon. I miss him. She poked at her dinner. Can we call him? I texted Gabriel instead. Your daughter wants to talk to you. His response came immediately. Video call in 10 minutes? We set up my laptop in Lily's room, and she lit up when his face appeared on screen. He was in what looked like a hotel room, still wearing a dress shirt, but with the top buttons undone. Tie discarded. Dad! Mommy said you had to work far away. I did, little one. But I'm coming home soon. His voice carried a warmth I'd only heard him use with her. Were you good for your mother today? Yes. I read 3 whole chapters by myself, and Paolo taught me how to play chess, and Mommy took pictures of me in the garden. They talked for 20 minutes, Gabriel patiently answering her rambling questions about New York, about his hotel, about whether he missed her. When Lily finally wound down, yawning, I sent her to brush her teeth. You're still there, Gabriel said when I didn't close the laptop. Yeah. I sat on the edge of Lily's bed, studying his face on the screen. She really misses you. I miss her too. A pause. Just her? The question hung between us. I should have deflected, should have kept the boundaries I'd established. Instead, I heard myself say, no, not just her. His eyes darkened. Claire, don't say anything. I ran a hand through my hair. I'm trying to be smart about this, Gabriel. Trying to protect myself and Lily from getting too attached to something that might not last. And if it does last, then we'll deal with it when we get there. Lily's footsteps were coming back down the hall. She's coming. We should go. Wait. His voice stopped me. When I get back, I want to talk. Really talk. Not about Lily or security or business. About us. There's no us. You just admitted you miss me. Missing someone doesn't make them safe to love. Lily burst back into the room before he could respond, demanding one more good night from Dad. After we hung up, she fell asleep quickly, exhausted from her day. I sat in the darkness listening to her breathe, my mind spinning. Safe to love. Had I really said that? The next 2 days dragged. I photographed every corner of the estate, edited until my eyes burned, played endless games with Lily. Paolo was a constant presence, professional and silent. At night, I lay awake, wondering if Gabriel was safe, if he was thinking about me, if I was losing my mind. He returned on the 3rd evening, looking exhausted but unharmed. Lily threw herself at him with such force he stumbled back, laughing. I watched from the doorway, something painful and sweet twisting in my chest. After dinner, after Lily was tucked in bed, Gabriel found me in the library. I'd been pretending to read for an hour, the same page open the entire time. "We need to talk," he said. So talk. He sat beside me on the leather couch, close enough that his shoulder brushed mine. New York was complicated. The Bratva situation is escalating. Fear spiked through me. Should we be worried? I'm handling it. But it might take longer than I hoped. He turned to face me. Which brings me to something I need to say. I know you want time to figure out what this is between us. I'm trying to give you that. But Claire, I need you to understand something. What? I didn't plan any of this. Didn't plan to find you again. Didn't plan to discover I had a daughter. Didn't plan to fall for you all over again. His hand found mine, fingers intertwining. But here we are. And I don't know how to be casual about you. Gabriel, let me finish. His thumb traced circles on my palm, the same gesture from the restaurant. My father was a cold man. Brilliant businessman. Terrible parent. He taught me that family was weakness, that emotions were liabilities. I believed that for 34 years. And now I have a daughter who looks at me like I hung the moon. And I have you, who sees exactly who I am and stays anyway. That's not weakness, Claire. It's the strongest thing I've ever felt. My throat tightened. You barely know me. I know that you hummed the same song every morning in New York while making coffee. Some old jazz standard your mother used to play. His free hand cupped my face. I know you chew your bottom lip when you're editing photographs. I know you sleep on the left side of the bed with one foot sticking out from under the covers. I know you'd walk through fire for Lily without hesitation. You can't possibly know all that. I've been paying attention. His voice dropped lower. I've been paying attention to you for 3 weeks, watching how you move through my house like you're trying not to leave a mark. How you smile at Lily but barely let yourself be happy. How you look at me when you think I'm not watching. How do I look at you? Like you want to trust me but don't know how. He leaned closer, his breath warm against my lips. Like you're terrified of wanting this. I am terrified. Why? Because my father left when I was 7. Because every man I've ever trusted has disappointed me. Because you're a crime boss whose world could swallow us whole. The words tumbled out faster than I could stop them. Because I'm already half in love with you, and we haven't even had a real conversation until now. His entire body went still. Say that again. Which part? The love part. I tried to pull away, but he held firm, his eyes searching mine with an intensity that made my pulse race. I didn't mean to say that, but you did. And I need to know if you meant it. Gabriel, this is insane. A month ago, I didn't even know where you were. Now I'm living in your house, raising our daughter together, and apparently confessing feelings I shouldn't have. Why shouldn't you have them? Because you're you, and I'm me, and this whole situation is temporary and complicated and... He kissed me. Not gentle or questioning like before. This was claiming, consuming, 6 years and 3 weeks of restraint breaking all at once. I kissed him back just as desperately, hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer until there was no space between us. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rested against mine. Not temporary, not for me. What are you saying? I'm saying I want this. You, me, Lily, a real family, not just a co-parenting arrangement. His hands framed my face. I'm saying I've been in love with you since New York, and finding you again felt like getting a second chance I didn't deserve. Tears burned behind my eyes. You don't love me. You love the idea of family. I love that you call me out when I'm being controlling. I love that you negotiate boundaries like you're drafting a peace treaty. I love that you take photographs of broken things and make them beautiful. He kissed my forehead, my cheeks, my jaw. I love you, Claire Thompson. All your stubbornness and independence and fear. This is crazy. Probably. His mouth found mine again, softer this time. But I'm done pretending otherwise. I should have pushed him away. Should have reinforced the walls I'd built so carefully. Instead, I melted into him, letting myself feel what I'd been fighting for weeks. The safety of his arms, the warmth of his kiss, the terrifying hope that maybe this could actually work. We stayed on that couch for hours, talking between kisses. He told me about growing up in his father's shadow, about the weight of expectations and legacy. I told him about raising Lily alone, the exhaustion and joy of single motherhood. We talked about New York, about the 6 years between, about all the ways we'd almost found each other again. What happens now? I asked as the clock struck midnight. Now we stop fighting this. He tucked hair behind my ear. Now we figure out how to make this work. With the Bratva situation still hanging over us, his expression darkened. I'm ending that. Soon. I won't have threats against my family. How? However necessary. He kissed my palm. But you don't need to worry about that. That's my world, my responsibility. Gabriel, if we're really doing this, you can't keep compartmentalizing. Your world is Lily's world now, and mine. I know. His jaw tightened. That's what terrifies me. But I'll handle it. I promise. We finally separated around 1 a.m, both reluctant. At my bedroom door, he kissed me one more time, slow and thorough. Sleep well, Claire. You too. But I didn't sleep. I lay in bed replaying every word, every touch, wondering if I'd just made the best or worst decision of my life. In the morning, Lily found us having coffee together in the kitchen, sitting closer than necessary. She looked between us with a child's uncanny perception. Are you and Daddy friends now? I glanced at Gabriel, who was trying not to smile. Yeah, sweetie, we're friends. Good. She climbed into his lap with easy affection. Daddy should stay forever. Over her head, Gabriel's eyes met mine. Forever was a long time, a terrifying time, but maybe, just maybe, it was worth the risk. For 4 days we existed in a bubble. Gabriel worked from home, joining us for meals, reading to Lily before bed, stealing kisses in hallways when our daughter wasn't looking. It felt almost normal, like we were an actual family instead of 3 people thrown together by circumstance and biology. I should have known it wouldn't last. Wednesday afternoon, Gabriel's phone rang during lunch. He glanced at the screen and his entire expression changed, warmth draining into something cold and dangerous. I need to take this. He stepped away from the table, voice dropping too low to hear. Lily continued eating her sandwich, oblivious. I watched Gabriel through the kitchen doorway, the tension in his shoulders, the way his free hand clenched into a fist. When he returned 5 minutes later, his face was carefully neutral. I have to go to New York. Tonight. My stomach dropped. For how long? 3 days maximum. He glanced at Lily, then back to me. We'll talk after dinner. The rest of the afternoon stretched like taffy. Gabriel disappeared into his office, door closed. I could hear his voice occasionally, sharp commands in English and what sounded like Italian. Paolo appeared, then 2 other men I recognized as part of Gabriel's security team. They all looked grim. After Lily went to bed, I found Gabriel in his office packing a leather bag. His movements were efficient, practiced. This wasn't his first time leaving for dangerous business. Tell me what's happening. He didn't look up. The Bratva made a move against one of my warehouses in New York. Burned it to the ground. Was anyone hurt? 3 of my men. 2 with minor injuries, 1 critical. His jaw tightened. This is escalation. They're pushing for war. Fear crawled up my spine. And you're going to give it to them. I'm going to end this. Finally, he met my eyes. I told you I wouldn't let threats against my family stand. This ends now. By doing what, exactly? You don't want those details. Stop protecting me from reality. I moved closer. If you're going to war, I have a right to know. He set down the shirt he'd been folding. I'm meeting with intermediaries. Neutral parties who can facilitate negotiation. The Bratva wants territory, I'll give them some. Not the port, not my core holdings, but enough to satisfy their expansion. That's it? Just negotiation? If they're reasonable, yes. If not, he trailed off, but his expression finished the sentence. Gabriel, you can't just... I can and I will. His voice turned hard. They threatened you. They threatened Lily. That's not something I forgive or forget. So you'll kill people? Start a war that could get you killed? If necessary. He cupped my face, thumb brushing my cheekbone. Claire, this is what I do. This is who I am. I protect what's mine. We're not possessions. No, you're everything. He kissed my forehead, which is exactly why I won't let this threat continue. I wanted to argue, to make him promise to choose safety over vengeance, but I saw the determination in his eyes and knew it would be pointless. This was the man I'd agreed to let into our lives, the crime boss, not just the father. When do you leave? 2 hours. Paolo will stay here with you. Security is being tripled as of now. Don't leave the property for any reason. What if something happens to you? His expression softened. Nothing will happen to me. I've been doing this for 15 years, Claire. I know how to handle territorial disputes. But what if... He kissed me, cutting off the protest. When he pulled back, his eyes were intense. If something happens, Paolo has instructions. You and Lily will be protected. Always. But nothing is going to happen. I promise. I wanted to believe him. Instead, I held him tighter, memorizing the feel of his arms around me, the steady beat of his heart against my ear. Gabriel left at 9 o'clock, carrying his bag and wearing a different expression than I'd seen before. This was the mob boss, the man who controlled an empire. He kissed Lily's sleeping forehead, then kissed me at the door with an intensity that felt like goodbye. 3 days, he repeated. Then this is over. I watched his car disappear down the driveway, Paolo standing beside me. He'll be fine, the big man said quietly. Boss knows what he's doing. Do you really believe that? I've seen him survive worse. Paolo's expression was unreadable. Come inside, Ms. Thompson. Need to lock down the property. That night, I barely slept. Every sound made me jump. Every shadow looked threatening. I checked on Lily a dozen times, finding her peaceful each time. How did children sleep so easily when their parents' worlds were crumbling? The next day crawled past. Lily asked about Dad repeatedly. I made excuses, kept her occupied with games and books. Paolo maintained professional distance, but I caught him checking his phone constantly, jaw tight. Any word? I asked after lunch. He's in meetings, that's all I know. Is that good or bad? It's normal, but Paolo's expression suggested otherwise. That night, Lily and I had just finished dinner when every light in the house went out. Complete darkness, sudden and absolute. Lily whimpered and I grabbed her immediately, pulling her close. Paolo? My voice cracked. Stay where you are. His voice came from somewhere to my left. Don't move. Then I heard it. Gunfire. Not close, but unmistakable. Pop, pop, pop in rapid succession, followed by shouting. Basement now. Paolo's hand found my arm in the darkness. Move. I ran blind, trusting him. Lily clutched against my chest. She was crying, asking what was happening, why it was dark. I couldn't answer because my throat had closed with terror. Paolo guided us downstairs I couldn't see, through a door that clanged shut behind us with the finality of a vault. Emergency lights flickered on, revealing the panic room Gabriel had shown me weeks ago. Steel walls, reinforced door, enough supplies for days. Lock this behind me. Paolo pushed us inside. Don't open it for anyone except me or Mr. Brunarelli. Code word is Lily's birthday. If they don't say it, don't open the door. What's happening? They breached the perimeter. His face was grim. We're handling it. Stay here. Stay quiet. The door closed with a heavy thunk. I heard the locks engage automatically, sealing us in. Lily was sobbing now, full body tremors. I sank to the floor, pulling her into my lap, rocking her like I had when she was a baby. It's okay, baby. We're safe. Dad has a special safe room for us. I want Dad. Her voice was muffled against my chest. I know, sweetheart. Me too. More gunfire, muffled through the steel but unmistakable. Shouting in languages I didn't understand. An explosion that shook the walls. Lily screamed and I held her tighter, humming that jazz standard my mother used to play, the one Gabriel said I'd hummed in New York. Time stopped meaning anything. Minutes felt like hours. Lily's crying eventually exhausted itself into hiccuping sobs. Then silence. She stayed pressed against me, her small body trembling. I stared at the steel door and prayed. Prayed that Paolo and the security team could handle whatever was happening. Prayed that Gabriel was safe in New York. prayed that I'd made the right choice bringing Lily into this world. Then, silence. Complete, absolute silence that was somehow worse than the gunfire. I waited, every muscle locked, barely breathing. Lily had fallen into an exhausted sleep against my shoulder. My arms ached from holding her, but I didn't dare move. Finally, after what felt like hours, footsteps. Someone trying the door handle. "Ms. Thompson?" Paulo's voice, rough. October 23rd, Lily's birthday. I scrambled up, still holding her, and hit the release button. The door swung open. Paulo stood there covered in blood, though I couldn't tell if it was his. Behind him, I could see 2 other security guards, weapons drawn, looking equally battered. "It's over. They're gone." "What happened?" 8 men tried to breach the property. We neutralized the threat. His expression was hard. "Need to call Mr. Brunarelli. Let him know what happened." "Is he okay?" "Haven't heard otherwise." Paulo pulled out his phone, already dialing. "Let's get you upstairs. Power's being restored now." The main house looked like a war zone. Bullet holes in walls, shattered windows, furniture overturned. But the security team had held. 3 wounded guards were being tended to in the kitchen. No one on our side was critical. I sat on the couch, still holding Lily, while Paulo talked rapidly into his phone. I caught fragments. "Yes, both safe. 8 hostiles, all neutralized." "Yes, sir." He handed me the phone. "He wants to talk to you." Gabriel's voice was strained, barely controlled. "Are you hurt? Is Lily hurt?" "We're fine. Scared, but fine." My own voice shook. "Gabriel, they attacked your house while you were gone. They knew." "I know. I'm getting on a plane now. I'll be there in 3 hours." A pause. "Claire, I'm so sorry. This should never have happened. You couldn't have known. I should have anticipated it. Should have had better security." His voice cracked slightly. When Paulo called, when he said there was an attack, I thought, "We're okay." Paulo got us to the panic room. "Your security team handled it." "I'm coming home, right now. This ends tonight." "What does that mean?" "It means I'm done negotiating." The coldness in his voice raised chills. The Bratva wanted war. They're going to get it. He hung up before I could respond. I handed the phone back to Paulo. Numb. "Boss is coming back," Paulo said unnecessarily. "Until then, we're on full lockdown. No one in or out." I nodded, too shocked to argue. Lily stirred against me, opening her eyes. "Mommy, I'm here, baby. Where's Dad?" "He's coming home. He'll be here soon." Soon was 3 hours that felt like days. Security cleaned up debris, boarded windows, took positions around the property. Someone brought us food we couldn't eat. Lily clung to me, silent and pale. When Gabriel finally burst through the door, Lily launched herself at him with a wail. He caught her, his face raw with emotion, holding her like she might disappear. "I'm here, little one. I'm here. You're safe." Over her head, his eyes found mine. I saw fury there, and guilt, and something that looked like fear. He crossed to me in 3 strides, pulling me against him with his free arm, Lily sandwiched between us. "I'm sorry. God, Claire, I'm so sorry. You couldn't have known. I should have been here." His hand fisted in my hair. "I should have been here to protect you. Your men protected us. Paulo protected us. But he just held us tighter, his body shaking slightly. This was the first time I'd seen him truly shaken, the control cracking completely. "It's over," he said finally, voice rough. "I promise you, this is over." The Bratva crossed a line they can't uncross. "Gabriel. They came after my family, my daughter." His eyes met mine, dark and absolute. "That's unforgivable, and I don't forgive." Standing there in his destroyed house, our daughter between us still crying, I understood completely. This was his world. Violence and vengeance and protection at any cost. And terrifyingly, I understood his rage. They'd threatened Lily. My baby girl had sobbed in a steel room while gunfire echoed above us. For that, I wanted them to pay too. The morning after the attack, Gabriel disappeared into his office before dawn. I heard his voice through the closed door, speaking in rapid Italian, the tone leaving no room for argument. Lily slept late, exhausted from trauma. I sat in the breakfast room drinking coffee and watching security teams replace windows, repair bullet damage, erase evidence of violence. Paolo appeared around 8, looking like he hadn't slept. "Boss wants to see you. I'll watch Lily." Gabriel's office was immaculate as always, no sign of the chaos from last night. He stood by the window, phone pressed to his ear, shoulders rigid. When he saw me, he ended the call abruptly. "How's Lily?" "Still sleeping. She'll have nightmares for weeks." I crossed my arms. "Tell me what's happening." "I'm ending this. Today." He moved to his desk, pulling up something on his computer. "Paolo is arranging a meeting with neutral intermediaries. Representatives from the Commission, people even the Bratva respects." "The Commission?" "Governing body for organized crime families on the East Coast. They don't like wars. Bad for business." His voice was clipped, professional. "I'm offering the Bratva a deal they'd be stupid to refuse. Territory north of Cambridge, 3 of my smaller operations, and a guarantee of no retaliation for yesterday's attack. You're rewarding them for attacking us? I'm giving them enough to save face while demonstrating strength." He looked at me finally. "They lost 8 men last night. We lost none. The message is clear. They can take the deal and walk away, or they can continue and be destroyed. And if they don't take it," his expression turned cold, "then I handle it permanently." I wanted to ask what that meant, but I already knew. Instead, I asked, "When?" "Negotiations start at noon. Should be resolved by tonight." He crossed to me, hands settling on my shoulders. "I need you to trust me on this." "I do trust you." That's what terrifies me. Why? Because 6 weeks ago I would have run from this. Would have taken Lily and disappeared rather than accept this life. I met his eyes. "Now I'm standing here hoping you destroy the people who threatened my daughter. That's not who I thought I was. It's who you need to be to survive in my world." His thumb traced my jaw. "I'm sorry I dragged you into it. You didn't drag me. I chose to stay. The admission hurt. I chose this, for better or worse." He kissed me softly. "After today, it gets better. I promise." Lily woke up clingy and quiet. She wouldn't let me out of her sight, following me from room to room. Gabriel joined us for breakfast, then had to leave for his meeting. Lily's face crumpled when he headed for the door. "I'll be back soon, little one." He crouched to her level. "Just a few hours. Then we'll do something fun, okay? Promise?" "I promise." He kissed her forehead, then looked at me over her head. "Stay inside. Paolo's in charge until I return." The next 6 hours were torture. I tried to distract Lily with games, with reading, with anything. But she remained withdrawn, jumping at sudden sounds. Around 3 o'clock, she finally fell asleep on the couch, exhausted from fear. Paolo's phone rang at 4. He answered, listened, then nodded. Understood. "Well." I couldn't keep the tremor from my voice. "They took the deal. Meeting with the Commission sealed it. Territory exchange happens next week, but the war is over." His expression remained neutral. "Boss will be home in an hour." Relief made my knees weak. "It's really over?" "Agreement's been signed by all parties. Bratva backs off completely. Boss gets peace. Win for everyone." When Gabriel finally walked through the door, I saw the exhaustion carved into his face. But when Lily woke up and ran to him, he smiled, swinging her up like nothing had happened. "See? I told you I'd be back." That night, after Lily was asleep, we sat on the terrace overlooking the gardens. Someone had brought wine. Gabriel held my hand, thumb tracing circles on my palm. 2 weeks, he said quietly. "Give me 2 weeks to ensure the agreement holds, to transfer the territories, to lock everything down. Then we talk about what comes next." "What do you want to come next?" He turned to face me fully. "I want you to stay. Not because of threats or fear, but because you choose to. I want Lily to grow up here, safe and loved. I want to build something real with you. Gabriel, let me finish." His hand cupped my face. "I know my world is dangerous. I know it's not what you wanted for Lily. But I can give you both things too. Safety, stability, a future. I can be the father she deserves and the partner you need. You're asking me to marry you. Not yet. But soon." His eyes held mine. "First, I need to know if you can actually live with who I am." Not just tolerate it, but accept it. Could I? 2 months ago, the answer would have been no. Now, watching him with Lily, seeing how hard he fought to protect us, I wasn't sure anymore. Ask me again in 2 weeks, I said finally. Those 2 weeks passed in a strange calm. Gabriel spent days in meetings, transitioning territories to the Bratva, reinforcing agreements. Paolo reported that the Russians were holding up their end, backing off completely. Slowly, security at the estate decreased to normal levels. Windows were replaced, bullet holes patched. Evidence of violence disappeared. Lily returned to herself gradually, the nightmares decreasing. Gabriel was there every morning and evening, patient and present. We fell into rhythms that felt almost domestic. Breakfast together, Lily's homeschool lessons, photography projects in the afternoon, family dinners, bedtime stories. I opened my studio in Cambridge 6 weeks after the attack. A small space with good light, funded by Gabriel, but entirely mine. Clients started coming, actual paying work that had nothing to do with his properties. My independence, reclaimed. 2 months after the Bratva agreement, Gabriel took me to dinner without Lily. Camilla watched her, giving me a knowing look as I left. The restaurant was the same one from before, intimate and quiet. But this time, there was no tension, no uncertainty. Just us. You said to ask again, Gabriel said over dessert. It's been longer than 2 weeks. My heart hammered. Ask what? He pulled a small box from his jacket. Claire Thompson. You're stubborn and independent, and you call me out when I'm being an ass. You're an incredible mother and a talented artist. You walked into my world without flinching and made it better just by being in it. He opened the box, revealing a ring that was elegant without being ostentatious. Will you marry me? I should have been surprised. Should have asked for more time. Instead, I heard myself say, yes. His entire face transformed, relief and joy mixing. He slid the ring onto my finger, then pulled me across the table to kiss me, probably scandalizing the other diners. I didn't care. We married 7 months later in the estate gardens, small ceremony with just family and close friends. Lily was the flower girl, taking her job incredibly seriously. Camilla cried, which she denied later. Paolo smiled, which was possibly more shocking. I kept Thompson professionally, but became Brunarelli legally. Lily officially had Gabriel's last name, which made her unbearably proud. My studio thrived. Gabriel gradually shifted more operations to Paolo, focusing on legitimate businesses. The danger never completely disappeared, but it became manageable. Background noise rather than immediate threat. One afternoon, about a year after we married, I was editing photographs while Lily practiced reading in the garden. Gabriel came up behind me, arms wrapping around my waist. What are you working on? The Riverside project. That historic building restoration downtown. I leaned back against him. Should be done by next week. You're brilliant at this. You know that? You're biased. Doesn't make it less true. He kissed my neck. Lily wants to know if we can get a dog. A dog? Apparently all her friends have them. I said we'd discuss it as a family. I turned in his arms. You're really asking my opinion instead of just buying her a puppy? I'm learning. His smile was self-deprecating. Took almost 2 years, but I'm learning. Get the dog. She'll be thrilled. We stood there watching Lily through the window. Our daughter laughing at something in her book. She was 7 now, confident and bright. Fluent in both English and Italian. She knew her father was powerful, that people treated him differently, but she was sheltered from the worst of it, allowed to be a child. Do you ever regret it? Gabriel asked quietly, saying yes. I thought about that night at the building inauguration. The shock of seeing him again. The DNA test, the threats, the attack. Moving into this house, falling in love despite every logical reason not to. Building a life in a world I never wanted to be part of. No, I said honestly. It's not the life I planned, but it's the life I choose. Even with all the complications, especially with the complications. I kissed him softly. You gave me a family, Gabriel. Not just you, but this whole strange, dangerous, loving family. That's worth everything. 3 years ago, I'd tried to find a man who'd disappeared from a hotel room, I'd spent 6 years raising our daughter alone, convinced I was better off that way. I'd been wrong. Sometimes the mistakes we make lead us exactly where we're supposed to be. Sometimes the dangerous choice is the right one. Sometimes love means accepting the whole person, shadows and all. Gabriel Brunarelli was a crime boss, a father, a husband. He was complicated and dangerous, and fiercely protective. He was mine, and I was his. That night, after Lily was asleep, we sat on the terrace with wine and stars. Gabriel's arm around my shoulders, my head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For what?" "For giving me a second chance. For trusting me with Lily. For building this life with me." His hand tightened on my shoulder. "For loving me despite everything. You make it sound like a sacrifice, isn't it?" I thought about my answer carefully. Loving you isn't a sacrifice. It's a choice. One I make every single day. I tilted my head to look at him. "And I'll keep choosing you. For as long as you'll have me. Forever then." He kissed my forehead. "Because I'm never letting you go." Forever was a long time. A complicated time. But as I sat there in Gabriel's arms, our daughter sleeping safely inside, I realized I wasn't afraid anymore. This was my life. Our life. Built on impossible circumstances and dangerous choices and stubborn love that refused to give up. 6 years ago, a photographer met a stranger at a festival. 9 months later, a daughter was born. And years after that, against all odds, they became a family. Not perfect, not easy, but real. And that was enough.